Hello, Gemini, and welcome to my channel, Tarot by Gabrielle. This is going to be a general reading for Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus signs, looking at your connection to the person that you are dealing with and needing to learn the most from right now. We are looking at all three sides of this connection. We've got your energy toward it, their energy toward it, and the energy in between it. The concept being that there are three sides to every story. So we're looking at your version of the truth, their version of the truth, and this higher level unbiased truth in the middle, really looking at what is the deeper purpose of this connection and what is the best way for you to move forward in order to align further with your higher self. As always, I've gone ahead and pulled the overall energy for the reading and clarified those messages, which we'll jump into in just a second. And then I have the overall kind of general theme over here that we'll dive into in a second as well. But I do have a different tarot deck for each side of this connection that we'll be using, as well as the advice deck that I'll be using in the extended. Any information on the extended reading or on booking a personal reading with me is in the description box below. Last and most important thing, please remember that these are general readings. They are not here to resonate fully for everyone, and they won't resonate fully for everyone. So do please remember to take what does resonate and helps your personal situation and leave what does not. On that note, these energies can absolutely be swapped. So if you resonate more with the energy to my right than to my left, just know that's totally fine and totally normal. Again, the point is to take what does resonate and helps your personal situation and leave what doesn't. All right, Gemini. On your side of this connection, you have ignoring the pain with the Lovers in reverse. You are have been getting a lot less than what it is that you need and deserve in this connection. So I ultimately feel like this connection could either be a past or a current connection, and I feel like I usually can get one or the other, but in this specific reading, I feel like it could be either. I feel as if you're trying... I feel as if you're trying your hardest to make this work, or if you have been or did try your hardest to make this work. But it just feels as if what you're met with are feelings of not being good enough, or not being lovable, or not being deserving of love, or something. And that's what this Lovers in Reverse card means to me. So but then there's this ignoring the pain. It's almost like you're either trying to justify it or set it aside or work through it, meaning just kind of like keep pushing through it. But I also feel as if you're not being fully honest with yourself about how much more you deserve than what you're currently getting from this connection. Now, this person, they have... The feelings are mutual with the Moon card. So this might actually be why you're accepting so much less, because it does feel like the feelings are mutual, like they have mutual feelings for you, like they want this connection to work, but then they have this Moon card. They're allowing their fear to dictate their movements, choices, and decisions. So it could be fear of vulnerability, fear of just getting hurt in general. So I feel like that's probably what you're holding on to, right? Is this, you see that they have feelings for you. They obviously show that every now and then. If this was, just all bad, you'd be like, what's the point? But I feel like there are moments where you do feel like, oh, they really care about me, or they'll really step up this time, or whatever the case is. But at the end of the day, this Moon card, their fear is the driving force behind their investment in this connection, which is really leaving you pretty empty-handed. Now, in between this connection, you have I am their light with the 9 of Wands. So I do feel as if you're trying, and maybe this is why you're ignoring the pain too, as if you and understand what they're feeling, and that they are coming from a place of fear and insecurity, and you're trying to be patient and help them through that, and be their light through the darkness, right? Which we should always definitely be a light for this world, especially for the people that we love, but we have to be sure that we don't try to pull people out of the darkness and end up getting pulled into the darkness ourselves. And I feel like maybe that's a little bit of what has happened in this connection, is you're trying your hardest to help this person, but instead of pulling them up with you, you're kind of being pulled down with them. Not that you're above them. That's not what I mean. Just, general kind of idea there. Now, the overall theme for the reading is protection. So there is this need to make sure that you're protecting yourself in this connection. Especially because when people are coming from a place of fear, they're going to be in that survival mode mentality. And when they're in that survival mode mentality, well, they're going to do whatever it takes to make them feel safe. And if they're experiencing fear in this connection and they're looking for ways to feel safe, that might come in the form of control or manipulation or just general mistreatment. And I don't necessarily feel like this is a bad person. I just feel like they don't really know how to navigate the way that they feel about this, which is, again, leaving you feeling really not good about yourself. This is for Gemini's side of this connection to the person they are dealing with. It's both possible to come from a place of love and protect yourself. Those are not mutually exclusive actions. Gemini side of this connection to the person they are dealing with. Gemini side of this connection. Lacking boundaries. Oof, okay. That's the biggest thing I felt in the beginning was just this. It's almost like you're aware that your boundaries are being crossed, like you're aware that you're struggling with that aspect of this connection, but it feels as if you're letting it happen for some reason, or like you're not standing up for yourself or speaking your truth, or maybe even being honest about how you feel because you already know this person's dealing with so much, or you don't want to push them away, or whatever the case is. But that's where the ignoring the pain kind of comes through, is because I do feel like it's almost like you're ignoring or avoiding facing how you feel and focusing so much on how this person feels. Which again, it's a fantastic quality to have and act from empathy. But we also have to remember that the same love that we give to other people, we are deserving of. And it feels like you are not receiving the same love that you are giving in this connection. And maybe that's just because there have been this lack of standing up for yourself or setting boundaries or whatever the case is. This is for Gemini's side of this connection to the person they are dealing with. This is for Gemini's side of this connection. Gemini's side of this connection. Here you are. This is the King of Swords. Whether you're male or female, this is just referring to your masculine energy. Devil in reverse in the Judgment. We all have feminine and masculine energies within us. Okay. Okay. Devil in reverse with the Judgment. King of Swords, here it comes. You view this person as your match. Someone that holds a lot of the qualities that you want in a person. And I feel like that's made it even more difficult for you to make your decision, because there is so much about this person that you do very much love. So it feels like there's these aspects of this person that you like, and then these aspects of this person that are missing or that aren't really in alignment with what it is that you need, and you're ignoring the aspects of it that aren't necessarily what you need for the aspects of this connection that you like. The Judgment, to me is needing to see, or just the truth. Like, to me, it's like the truth behind the circumstances, taking out emotions, taking out biases, just like what, laying it out, like what are the energies, what's really going on. There is a little bit of an attachment to this person that you have created, which basically means that you have said, if this person doesn't get it together or work through their fear or learn to see my value or learn to love themselves even, then I'm never going to be loved in the way that I deserve, because I'd be settling anywhere else, or I'd never be happier than I would be, with them. And that can start to create a pretty unhealthy dynamic, because then you start sacrificing aspects of what you need for the sake of the connection, because you're saying this connection has to work, because if this connection doesn't work, then I'm not going to be happy. And when you put so much weight on the outcome of anything really, but specifically of relationships, that's when you can start to do yourself a little bit of an injustice. And I feel like that's a little bit of what has happened here is, there are certain aspects about this quality about certain qualities and aspects about this person that you like. But the biggest thing you're needing to see is that what you're liking about this person is you seeing yourself in them. So what you love about them is literally just a reflection of what you love about yourself. And then the other things that you don't necessarily like, are a reflection of the lessons that you need to learn. So trying your hardest to shift your focus from putting your intention and your energy into this connection for the other person, and making sure that you are still prioritizing yourself, even if that means having to face that fear that you might lose it. That's the tricky thing with boundaries, is setting them does put you at risk for losing the people that you care about. But anything that is a loss from setting a boundary is not a loss, it's alignment. And learning that is where you start to weave out the people that are benefiting from you not having boundaries, and who aren't willing to step up and be what it is that you deserve in a relationship. And I'm not saying like going above and beyond for you, but I'm just saying like generally, just reciprocating what it is that you give, having honest and open communication, being willing to be vulnerable, being willing to show up when they say that they will. Like all of those things that seem like small things are big things in a connection. And it's important that you realize that feeling like you're lacking those is a very valid and genuine concern or complaint, I guess. Gemini side of this connection to the person they are dealing with. Gemini side of this connection, please. Gemini side of this connection. Ooh, boop, boop. Okay. Okay. There is a need to be a little bit more honest with yourself about what's really going on here. Because you obviously don't want things to, you want things to change, but you want things to change the way you want them to change. Things need to change. That's obvious. You are not happy with where you're at. You're not happy with the way that things are in this connection. And I don't really feel like you have been for a while, depending on how long this connection has been together. And a lot of your decisions, your choices, your movements, choices, and decisions right now are coming from a place of things have to change this specific way in order for me to be happy, or me to get what it is that I deserve. When there's a need to reevaluate kind of your decisions, like how you're investing in this. Because, so basically what I mean is you're saying, I'm investing in this. This is just a general example. I'm not saying this is exactly what's going on, but I'm investing this because this person needs to change. So I'm going to do everything I can to support them, to try to get them to change so that they can finally show up in the way that I deserve. So that's how you're investing, is you're trying to get things to change, but the way that you want them to change. Instead of recognizing that, yes, something has to change, something's got to give, something's got to something's got to be sacrificed in one way or another. And there's this need to recognize that it's not your worth. Like, yes, something needs to be sacrificed. There is something that needs to change. There is something that needs to evolve. But it's not your worth that needs to be sacrificed. And I feel like you have sacrificed a lot of what it is that you are deserving of in your connection, and specifically with this person. Gemini side of this connection to the person they are dealing with. But I don't feel like you're being honest with yourself about that, because that brings a lot of fear into the equation, and I get that, but that isn't doing yourself any kind of that's not sustainable. That's not going to be sustainable. And remember, we have this protection. There's this need to be a little bit more, you're wanting this person to be open about how you feel. You got to be open about how you feel too. Not talking about like how much you love this person, talking about how much this person is affecting you in a negative way. Gemini side of the, yeah, because there is a Two of Pentacles in reverse. Your actions are coming from a place of imbalanced priorities. And there's this, okay. There's a Judgment reverse. All right. You're prioritizing this connection and this person way more than yourself here, Gemini. And maybe you think that that's going to eventually lead to you getting what it is that you deserve. Like, I put in the work now, and then later, eventually, things will be what I want them to be. But what you have to remember is the universe provides exactly as you affirm. What you give energy to will expand. And if you give energy to receiving less than what you deserve or prioritizing what doesn't prioritize you, you will continue to experience that same energy. Things never change unless you change the things that are within your control. Investing in what you can't control, meaning this person, their actions, their potential, you can't control any of that. And it is not fair of you to ask yourself to sacrifice what it is that you need out of hopes that this person, eventually sees the light or wakes up or has, deeper insight. Because at the end of the day, with this Four of Swords in reverse and the Magician in reverse, your soul is tired because you haven't been able to manifest or create the relationships that you are ultimately deserving of because you've been choosing so much less than what it is that you deserve. And so your soul is really tired of the way that things are, and it wants things to change, but you don't want things to change because that's really scary, and you lose a lot of your control in that manner. So there is a lot here. There's a lot going on, and I feel like these messages are really honest out of the gate, but I also feel like these are necessary messages for this aspect of this connection. Gemini side of the connection to the person they are dealing with. Gemini side of the connection to the person they are dealing with. This is about making sure that you are communicating your needs and your desires. Page of Swords with the Ace of Pentacles. That you are taking every opportunity to communicate what it is that you need. For those of you who have been following me for a while, you know that I have talked about how I'm in the healthiest relationship of my life, and that's why I feel like I can talk from such a confident place in these connections, is I've been over here, and I've been over here, and now I've kind of found this balance between, being a chaser, being a runner, and learning to love myself and watching that being reflected in my relationships. And with my current partner, one of the biggest things that we've had to work on is him making sure that he is appropriately communicating his needs so that I know what it is that he needs. Because sometimes, this goes both ways, but sometimes I'll cross boundaries, or I'll be having a stressful or anxious day and I'll put a lot on him and it's too much for him to carry, but he doesn't communicate that to me. And though I should be more aware of what I'm doing, I still need that communication to be able to appropriately match what it is that he's capable of giving that day. Because relationships, as much as we like to think that they're 50-50, they're not. Some days I have 80%, some days he has 20, some days he has 30%, and I have to pick up the 70. But the only way that works is with communication, being able to see, hey, this is where I'm at today, this is what I'm feeling, this is what I'm needing from you, where are you at? And then, just kind of working through that and finding that middle ground. But I feel like there's this part of you that isn't necessarily communicating what it is that you need. You're accepting so much less, and you're kind of almost suffering in silence a little bit here, Gemini, because I feel like you feel that, if I communicate my needs, maybe I'll come off as too needy, or maybe I'm not actually lacking and that's just me asking for too much. Or maybe you're saying, I don't deserve to set boundaries because, I don't know what that's like and I've never done it, and I feel that that's going to push away anyone that's good for me, or whatever the case is. but I just feel like there's this need, like I just get like this speak up, like you've got to communicate the way that you feel here and be willing to do that with love, right? You don't want to be like, listen here, this is what you're doing, this is how you make me feel. Like, don't come from a place of defensiveness, but being willing to say, this is how I feel when you do XYZ. This is how I feel in these moments. This is how I feel, you know, in other moments. And when you do that, you are literally like speaking what it is that you need into the universe, into existence. And someone is either going to respect what it is that you need and respect what you have to say, or they're not. And at the end of the day, you have to learn that people who don't respect your boundaries are people who benefit from you not having any. And that is not a sustainable connection, nor is it fair to you. I don't know, just a random message. I don't know if that was for everyone, but I definitely feel like if this connection is currently together, because I did talk about how this could either be a past connection or one that's currently together. If this is one that is currently together, that's something to keep in mind. If this is a past connection, this is something to keep in mind moving forward. Gemini side of the connection to the person they are dealing with. And the other thing is, communication's a two-way street. If you can speak your needs and what it is that you're asking for all day long, but if someone isn't willing to listen and understand and be open and honest and vulnerable and not come from a place of defensiveness, then it's not communication. It's just talking at a brick wall. So that's also, recognizing that anyone who's not willing to communicate isn't going to be able to sustain a healthy relationship. Gemini side of this connection to the person they are dealing with. You are more willing to accept less than what it is that you deserve than lose this person. That is the biggest hold up for you. You are more afraid of losing this person than you are of not having what it is that you need and deserve in love. And I get that. I understand that. But that's where you have to pay attention to that attachment, because the attachment is where you're going to start to sacrifice what it is that you need because you think that that connection is the only way that you can be happy, or maybe you feel a sense of obligation towards it, or maybe, like, especially with this I am their light card, maybe you think that you can save this person or you can heal them. But you also have to remember that you can only help people to the extent that they're willing to help themselves. So we'll see what they have going on. All right. This person's energy toward Gemini, please clarifying the feelings are mutual with the Moon card. This person's energy toward Gemini, clarifying the feelings are mutual with the Moon card. This person's energy toward Gemini, please. This person's energy toward Gemini, please. This person's energy toward Gemini. Okay, Judgment. These are in reverse. Okay, Judgment in reverse, King of Swords. The Chariot in reverse. See, this person is your mirror. Chariot in reverse, Eight of Cups in reverse. Color blue is really coming through, which makes sense for throat chakra, speaking up, speaking your truth, being honest. This person, I don't think they really, this is interesting, I don't feel like they really know how to be honest. So if they're not, being honest with you about how they feel, or like, because it's truth behind the circumstances, the King of Swords, so it's like the reason that they're not being honest with you about how they feel is because they're not being honest with themselves about how they feel about you. Which makes sense, because they're coming from this fear, from the moon card. So there's this, it's like they've got, you know, these, they've also kind of got rose-colored glasses on. And it's almost like they see you in this light of like someone who maybe doesn't like need a whole lot or like is low maintenance. I don't know. They see you as someone that it's almost like they don't have space for your needs because they're so focused on their needs. Because it's like they see you as someone who meets their needs. So then their needs have become the priority in this connection. This person's energy toward Gemini. And I feel like your needs have definitely fallen to the back burner. This person's energy toward Gemini. This person's energy toward Gemini, please. This person's energy toward Gemini. They've withdrawn. They've pulled back. Even if this is like still together, they've pulled back their energy. So maybe that's what it was. Is in the beginning you got this like glimpse of like this person and, you know, their openness and their honesty and things like that. But then that fear creeped in for them. And as that fear creeped in, their actions started aligning more with the fear than how it is that they really feel. One of the things I talk about a lot on this channel, like a lot, is how our movements, choices, and decisions stem from our subconscious. 95% of them stem from our subconscious. Only 5% of how we interact with our reality is actually conscious, meaning that consciously we might want something, but our subconscious patterns, such as not feeling like lovable or good enough for love or not knowing how to open up or whatever the case is, will kick in and start to override what it is that we desire. I see this in my relationship all the time. Having a history of being in pretty unhealthy relationships for most of my life, not even just romantic, I have to stop myself from letting myself fall back into old patterns a lot in my relationship, like not letting myself fall back into being passive aggressive and not communicating, and allowing myself to fall back into seeing the connection through a selfish lens instead of seeing it through empathy and love, which can happen sometimes for anyone, right? We have a tendency to start to shut ourselves off to what the other person needs and start focusing only on our needs, and a lot of different things. I have to literally be constantly aware of it all the time because, you know, so much of that is still rooted in just my patterns and what I've learned about relationships. And so that's why, like, I've talked a lot about how, like, I can have empathy for this kind of person because I've been there. I've also been here. So I get it. It's just sometimes you have to be consciously aware of the way that you act. Now, if you're not consciously aware, those subconscious fears are going to kick in and they're going to be the driving force of your actions. And that is what this person is dealing with. I don't feel as if they have the awareness yet or at all even to be able to like override their subconscious patterns that are coming from this fear place. This person's energy toward Gemini, and the only thing that's going to help that is their own healing and their own self-work. That is not something that you can help them with. They don't have a very like good mindset. Like they're not very like stable. Not that they're like unstable necessarily, they could be. But especially when it comes to their mindset or like their perspective or the way that they kind of view the world and relationships, like they definitely don't have like a solid foundation to build on. Especially with this Five of Wands, they have this inner conflict, especially when it comes to love. And I feel as if that inner conflict is kind of what I was just talking about, like what they want versus what they fear are just like going at it. And again, because 95% of the way that we interact with our reality comes from our subconscious, it's so difficult to override those patterns, especially when you've been spending a lifetime in them. And so there's a lot more going on with this person than you might think. So you might be trying to help them or love them through it or give them all of this energy and time and attention, and at the sacrifice of your own needs, thinking that that is what is going to make this person finally be able to show up in this connection. But the truth is, you cannot love someone into healing. You cannot love someone into loving themselves. You cannot love someone into doing the work. They have to be willing to do it for themselves. And this person doesn't seem like they're being very honest with themselves about it. I don't think they're a bad person. I think that they're coming from a pretty tough place, and that is spilling over into your energy, this person's energy toward Gemini. And there's that control. See, they're coming from this place of control, which is why, like with because they have the Page of Swords in reverse, you got to upright, they have it in reverse. They don't really know how to communicate. I feel like that comes with a lack of vulnerability. And I ultimately feel like someone can only meet you where they've met themselves, right? And if this person isn't being honest with themselves about how they feel or what they need or what's really going on within them, there's no way they're going to be, they're going to be able to be honest with you. There's no way they're going to be open. There's no way they're going to be able to be vulnerable. And that's why you've got to make sure that you're protecting yourself and setting boundaries in this connection, is because if you don't, their control is going to take over, and it's going to start to become like, I don't know how to put it, like your problem, your burden, that's why you feel unlovable, right? Because this person feels not good enough. They have all of these things from their past and these fears of, whatever it is for them. I don't want to get too specific in a general reading, but with the Knight of Wands in reverse, they have this self-sabotage tendency when it comes to their relationships. And I feel like it's like, just love them through it. Just keep loving them through it. Just keep loving them through it. But all that while, you're just getting like kicked while you're down. And there's, eventually you're going to run out of your ability to love someone who is not loving you. Now, not necessarily saying you like stop loving them, but you'll start, the resentment will kick in. The just burnout of the way that you've been treated will kick in. And I feel like that's actually already happened. And the only way that you can, start to shift directions in this connection is if you set boundaries based on your needs without the fear of what that means for the connection. And that's a very hard thing to do. This person's energy toward Gemini. This person's energy toward Gemini, please. The runner. They're a runner. They've got their guard up. They're doing whatever they can to push you away, Gemini. Maybe you know that. You just keep trying to love them through it and keep trying to be their light. Keep trying to be there for them. And all it is doing is draining you. You cannot love people into changing themselves. You cannot love anyone into loving themselves. You cannot love anyone into learning how to love you. The only way we literally teach people how to treat us. And we teach people how to treat us based on what we accept and what we stand for and what we fight for. When we're able to say, I don't like being treated that way, and we're able to say, I deserve more than that, and we're able to say, I need you to show up for me when you say you're going to, or be honest with me, or be open, or be vulnerable. When we say that, we are literally saying, this is what I'm going to accept, nothing less than that. And if that person can't show up for you in that way, then that is literally a sign from the universe that connection isn't good for you, that it doesn't align with your highest good. Because if you're standing up for your highest good and something falls away because of that, that's divine protection. That's divine redirection. This person's energy toward Gemini. So we never want to come from the fear of losing someone so much that we allow ourselves to suffer for it. This person's energy toward Gemini. So it is in reverse. Okay. Holding. This person's pretty stuck in their ways. I don't feel like they're doing a whole lot of healing. That's 100%, you know, gonna be dependent on who it is, like, specifically, because this is just a collective reading. But just generally, the vibe that I'm getting is that they're pretty stuck in their ways. I feel like this connection is very triggering for them. And instead of going, you know, because when we're triggered, we have two responses. We go outward or we go inward. And when we go outward, that's our reaction. That's when we're saying things we don't mean, or, getting in this kind of fight or flight mode. When we go inward, we go, what is this talking to me about? What is being triggered? What do I need? And we process and we respond. This person, when they're triggered, they go straight outward. What can I do to regain control? I don't feel safe within. I don't know how to. I don't have the tools to be able to face these things I got going on, so I'm going to react. And that reaction is them coming from that place of fear. And if this person doesn't have the awareness to be able to say, to even recognize I'm being triggered, I need to do something about it, then they're going to continue to come from that outward. I feel fear, I feel insecure, I feel, whatever it is. And then they just go, what can I do to not feel this way? How can I control this situation so I don't feel insecure, so I don't feel unsafe? And typically what that means is, I'll remove myself. Instead of fighting for it or working through it, it's let me just take myself out of it. Then I don't even have to deal with it. I'll put it in my little compartmentalization. You know what I'm trying to say. This little box in my brain, and I'll just set it to the side, and I just won't touch it again. And then that's that. And then, by more, what you don't really realize, or what this person doesn't realize, is they've got like this almost just like attic that is just stuffed to the brim with these things that they've just taken in these little boxes and placed in there because they're not actually dealing with anything. And none of that, Gemini, is your burden to bear. None of that is anything you can control. You can only control you and what it is that you do, how you respond, right? You can't control this person's reactions or responses or lack thereof. What you can only do is control yourself. And the best thing that you can do is do what you can to protect your worth and your value. Okay, we're going to hop on over to the extended. You have I am their light with the 9 of Wands. I'm going to pull 9 different messages looking at what is the deeper purpose of this connection and what is the best way for you to move forward in order to align further with your higher self. Thank you so much, Gemini, as always, for your support of my channel. I do hope that this reading helped and resonated with you in a way that you were needing today. And as always, Gemini, I wish you absolutely nothing but love and healing on your journey moving forward. All right, bye, Gemini.